A freaking embarrassment. Wow. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Let's talk about this game. Once again, I didn't really get to talk about it too much. I mean, I did, but I was talking about something else, and I kind of put that in there. The USA versus Serbia, a straight embarrassment. A straight embarrassment. And let me tell you, it's not an embarrassment because it was a close game. It was an embarrassment the way these guys continue to celebrate instead of being humble. You should have humbled yourself by barely beating Joker and his team full of plumbers. Okay, I don't care if two guys on that team, three guys on that team outside of Joker. Oh, well, they're in the NBA. They're in the NBA because of the United States. The NBA has watered down the league. That's the only reason. They're not all-star players. They're not Hall of Fame players outside of Joker. That's why most of these guys that's in the tournament on these Olympic teams, that's why they're in the NBA, because we're playing Euro basketball, right? And we start playing this type of basketball because why? Because LeBron got beat in '04 Olympics. It then got beat in '06 FIBA. So eventually, we start playing this style of basketball. Don't give me this nonsense. Curry changed the game. They lied about this. We talked about this before. They lied about this. They changed the game to help LeBron James out so he can play this longevity game, so he can act like he's a real dribbler, so he can dribble around without tight defense, so they can sell the game to international players because the ratings were plummeting down the drain, and they could sell more merch, more TV ratings, and stuff like that. That's it. We basically seen when these floors got spread out, when LeBron started playing LeBron basketball, right? Starting in about '07, '08, he spread his entire team out to the three-point line, except for maybe El Gauskas, so he could start driving down the lane with no resistance at 250 pounds. And if he didn't get the shot, driving down the lane, guess what? He'll kick it out to all these other guys sitting outside on the three-point line. So this is a lie. When we talked about Curry changing the game, no, him and Clay changed the game for the Golden State Warriors, right? If I'm not mistaken, in 2014, Golden State was a number 6 seed in the playoffs in 2014. That's when the Spurs stomped out the Miami Heat in the finals. And then the next season, all of a sudden, Golden State is a number 1 seed in 2015. That's a big rise from 6th all the way to first place. But again, Curry didn't change the game. Even in the '80s and '90s, if this is a game one team was playing, that's what one team was playing. Two guys shooting a three. That was not going to change the way other teams played. And then when you look at other teams in the '80s, I mean, in the '90s, when we look at the Rockets, when we look at the Orlando Magic, these were big time three-point shooting teams, right? Hakeem was playing in the center position, and if you try to double Hakeem, he will kick it out to Mario Elie, Kenny Smith, Vernon Maxwell. Who else was on the perimeter? It was some other guys on the perimeter, and they would just burn you from three, right? The Nick Andersons, the Brian Shaws, even Anthony Hardaway, time from time. I can't. Scott Skiles. These guys will burn you from the three if you collapse on the center. So that was a game some teams played, but all the teams didn't play the same style of basketball, right? The Bulls wasn't with that three-point shooting ish. They played a different style. You look at the Jazz, they played a different style. That's just how it was. So look, this is what I'm going to say. When we take the Dream Team 1 and we're going to go over the Dream Team 2, when you got these guys like Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Chris Mullin, Clyde Drexler, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, and Scottie Pippen. And then you take the Dream Team 2. I'm going to make my point in a minute. Dream Team 2, Charles Barkley, Penny, Anthony Hardaway, John Stockton, Reggie Miller, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, David Robinson. I have no idea who that guy is. I can't. Akeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, Steve Smith, and Shaq. Those two teams, Dream Team and Dream Team 2. Ask yourself and be honest with yourself. In this Olympics right here, would it be fair if they put all the good teams in Group A, all the second best teams in Group B, and then put all the bad teams in Group C, and then they include the United States in Group C? Really? Could you take the Dream Team 1 or the Dream Team 2 serious? Really? If they got the easiest opponents in the groupings. And this is what the 2024 U.S. men's Olympic team got. And to me, it's sad. Because if you want to put all the good teams in Group A, that's fine. But you should have put the United States in Group A with the other good teams and took one of those teams out like Spain. If for some reason, I don't know why, you want to put the best team, which is the United States, in Group B with the second best teams, okay, maybe that would have been fine. I guess you would have took Japan out. But to put the United States in Group C with Puerto Rico, Serbia, and South Sudan, what are we talking about right here? This is what they needed to go to the gold medal round? They just got done playing Joker in his Plumbers. Check this out. Field goal percentage for the United States, 43%, 52% for Serbia. 3-point percent, 35% for the United States, 48% for Serbia. Now, this was a big difference. It depends on how many. What? It really wasn't no difference because United States only shot one more free throw than Serbia, and Serbia only missed like a couple more free throws than the United States. But 80% United States, 68% for Serbia. It could have been better for Serbia. When we look at the steals were close, the blocks were close. Serbia had 8 more. What is it? 8 more assists. Of course, Serbia had more fouls. More fouls. What is this? Well, they have 4 more fouls than the United States, right? Because every time LeBron goes up, it's a foul. I saw one call on Joker where AD was going up, and I'm not sure if it was a foul, but Joker was complaining, and I thought they was going to do a replay or whatever like that, but they did replay it on the TV, and Wade and them was kind of talking ish about the whole thing, and then when they showed the replay, Joker cleanly blocked the shot. Folks, what I've been seeing a lot is that if you even contest a shot from the United States, it's going to be called a foul. Now, Joker finally got called for a hooking. He does a lot of hooking when he goes against Embiid. He goes against AD, and that just exposes his athleticism. Am I saying other players don't do it? No, but I'm saying he does it a lot. I've seen him do it in the NBA. He does a lot of hooks. Now, LeBron does that a lot, and they was talking about Joker and him, something about him being dominant or something like that. And Wade made some comment, was like him flopping around with the ball. I don't see dominance to me or something like that. Him using his body. And I'm like, well, what does LeBron do? Well, LeBron does it. He's Captain America. He's putting the team on his back. That's what they keep saying because he did dunks and layups. He's putting the team on his back. And that's why a lot of these guys can't start. Well, a lot of good shooters on that team, they can't start in the place of LeBron. Yes, they're better shooters. Yes, they're better players. But the coach already knows what time it is. LeBron is going to get these fouls when he goes up, whether he's fouled or not, and he's going to get these dunks and layups. So he's already a shoe in. He ain't got no skills, but he's going to be able to get those points. Not off of real good fundamental skills. Like Kevin Durant, give me the ball, I'm going to shoot lights out. LeBron has never did that, and he'll never do that. And when Serbia was down, I think they were down by 2. LeBron comes down with the ball. I said, watch him try to shoot a 3 so he can be the hero and go up by 5. And damn sure enough, he shot that 3 and bricked it off the front of the rim. Because what he was doing, he was front running. He wouldn't shoot the 3 any other time, but because they was up, they was up by 2 or 3, I forget. He was front running. He feeling good. Well, if I miss this, we're still up. If I hit it, I'm a hero. Right? And this is what this guy does. So to me, I'm going to tell you again, I don't have any respect for this United States men's team because I've been watching Olympics, swimming, gymnastics, track and field, etc. And none of the United States players are ducking the smoke of other great competition that they have to go up against. Only the United States, not France, not Brazil, not Canada, not Australia, not none of these teams who was in Group A or Group B ducked great competition. And they couldn't because it was put against great competition in Group A and Group B. But they didn't duck other great competition in this tournament. Only the United States. And on top of that, if you're going to duck great competition until you get to gold medal round, you should be beating teams by 50. But instead, the narrative is all these NBA players are playing in the Olympics on other teams. These guys who had 10-day contracts came up from the G League or whatever it's called, D League, when somebody got hurt on the NBA team. Dudes who are riding the bench. Former NBA players. This is what they really count. They count guys who played in the NBA years ago, who weren't no All-Stars, weren't no Hall of Famers. These are the guys that they're counting as NBA players playing in these Olympics against the United States. What a disgrace. And then you make an all-star team, ain't Hall of Famers or nothing. It's a disgrace. These are you wouldn't even mention this back in the 90s. It would be a disgrace for you to bring something. Now, if these guys were like made all-star teams, Hall of Famers, and stuff like that, you was going up against the Pau Gasols or the Sabonises, Charles and Petrovic, maybe a Kukoc, a Manu Ginobili. They didn't even see Luka in these international games. Guys like that. If you got Dirk Nowitzki, because, LeBron has always had a problem with international players. You see, he got beaten 04 Olympics, the 06 FIBA. Whether we go to the finals, he's getting, Tony Parker's winning a finals MVP. He's getting beat by Manu Ginobili again in the finals and in the Olympics. He gets beat by Dirk. These type of guys. JJ Barrera. But give me some real names of these international players in the Olympics that is competition to the United States. One player, and it was Joker. And he didn't even have an all-star teammate. Not even a Hall of Fame teammate. We ain't even asking for that. An all-star caliber teammate. And Joker and then pretty much took this team to the wire with 9 superstars. And when I say 9 superstars, I'm talking about these guys are future Hall of Famers. Jason Tatum didn't even play. What happened, Uncut Hoops? All these guys on the men's Olympic team, I think, except for Curry and Durant, all the rest of them are interchangeable. And I think all these guys are unable, maybe Curry, right? No. Well, on this men's Olympic team, are unable to lead a team to a championship in the NBA. The NBA that plays an international style of game, not a Curry style of game, an international style of game. Remember when Giannis said, right? Joker said, Luka said, this NBA is weaker than their plumbers league back at home. Their plumbers league is more tougher. And what that points out to me is the fact that they made this league so easy because they knew these guys could never duplicate what the guys were doing in the 80s, the 90s, or the early 2000s. Or we could say the 2000s. That's how weak they made this era, starting in the 2010s. And to me, this is why players like Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, who came out in the 90s, were able to dominate the way they were. Not that they couldn't if things weren't softened up because they came out in the 90s, right? They were playing 90s competition in the early 2000s. A lot of these guys came out in the 90s that played in the early 2000s. So to me, they made the NBA just soft as tissue, not only to make these players look better than what they are, but so they can give these players these outrageous contracts so they can put up the prices of tickets, popcorn, liquor, parking, all this stuff. People, you got to start to use some common sense sometimes about things. We don't see no Michael Jordan type of players in this era. We don't see no Magic Johnson, no Charles Barkley, these exciting players. Karl Malone, John Stockton, we don't see that in the NBA. We see guys sitting around the three-point line playing minimal defense. We don't see the level of play in the NBA that we see in the NFL. We just don't see it. We just don't see it. We talk about Durant, a great shooter, but that's all he is. He's not a good defensive player. 7 rebounds a game, ain't giving you a block a game. And I know the man, he's not young. And I know he's got hundreds of millions of dollars, and he needs to stop looking like he's still in Africa, hungry, can't get a haircut, scruffy looking. Like, bro, you guys got all this money, and what you looking like this? Look like you need some lotion, your nails cut, your hair cut, a makeover. Why are these guys looking like this? These guys in the 90s would never come out and be looking like this. And LeBron James. This guy's wearing this gray beard. Trying to prove some point that, he's tired. This is his last stand. I'm carrying this team to a gold medal. Against who, though? Who are you doing this against? This is all TV. This is all TV. These guys are playing against nobody. To beat Serbia, a bunch of nobodies with Joker, right? Who did Joker get beat by? They got beat by Minnesota this year, right? And Joker had a better team, right? Than the Serbia team he has in the Olympics, right? Well, way better. It's not even close. So there's no way that they couldn't have used the original FIBA team that they did get beat last year. But you're telling me these are the up and coming talents, right? The next Michael Jordan. These are the up and coming talents. The next Michael Jordan. Anthony Edwards. Jalen Brunson. Paolo Banchero. Who else was on that team? Brandon Ingram. It was a slew of guys on there that should have been able to just play with LeBron, who opened his mouth first, right? This was a guy that said he wanted to play on the next Olympic team because we got beat. And you're trying to tell me that team could have not beat Serbia? You needed 9 superstars? Wow. And again, these guys should have walked away with their heads down, shaking the hands of Serbia, and been humble, right? We got lucky. We give all the credit to you guys. You guys outplayed us. But at the end of the day, 9 superstars prevailed over 1 superstar. That should have been the call. What is Steve Kerr doing? This is the coach. This is the coach who are letting some of the greatest of all time act like men childs. It's disgusting. And this is what they're showing the youth. We ran a muck. The 92 Dream Team, the 96 Dream Team, we ran a muck in the Olympics over these guys. And we did not celebrate like that. And we were humble. Because that shows class, humility, and everything else. That we know we're the best. And we need all this talent just to stomp you. And it's not really about we need all this talent to stomp you. It's just that we're showing we're still the best. We're the United States. We're not going to send our college kids over to play you guys who are professional grown men who are 25, 30 years old and beating our college players. You want to play because international pros, they got better. That's why they beat our great players. When was that? 88? That's why they beat them. And let me show you who was on that team. Or let me tell you who was on that team that got beat. Team 88. If I can pull up U.S. men's basketball team. I'm going to pull up this roster. And, I mean, these guys weren't bad. Willie Anderson, I think he went and played for the Spurs. He was a good shooter, good driver. Stacey Augmon, great coming out of college. Hersey Hawkins, great shooter. Dan Marley, I bet you heard of him. Danny Manning, I bet you heard of him, right? J.R. Reed, I don't know if you heard of him. He was a solid paint player. Who else do we have? Mitch Richmond. Wow. Mitch Richmond. And guess what? David Robinson. David Robinson. So indeed, we got the bronze medal. We weren't even second best. So that's when the world caught up to us. When they beat a lot of these great players. And David Robinson and Mitch Richmond, they're Hall of Famers. So the world had caught up to our top college players, right? Of 88. So we said, okay, it's time to play pro versus pro. And we showed them. Don't you never, ever, 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 ever think you're going to whoop on some little kids. It's time to play some pros. And we took that all the way until 2004 and curb stomped these people until we had people like the King, people like Allen Iverson. And look, I love Allen Iverson, but when you got a guy who ain't willing to play team ball, a guy who is more about the hip hop culture going on, a guy that's more about, I'm not practicing. Practice. Come on, man. You got to practice, especially when you're on that Olympic team. Everything just ain't about you. So, you got some bad vibes on that team. And you have some guys coming up out of college who were great talent. Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, Wade. But still, the world should have not caught up to us back then when Ginobili, a bench player, or a six-man, in his Argentinian plumbers, is going to beat us. It's no excuse. And then we fast forward to these Olympics. We need to get put in the weakest pool to make it to the gold medal round while all the strong teams in A and B beat the hell out of each other. And now I guess we can see why now. Why we were in Group C. We're not a great team like that. We're not. We're just not. What did we prove against Puerto Rico? What did we prove against Brazil? What did we prove against Sudan? It was nothing to prove right there. And you can't play against a great team like this with 9 superstars who are 9 Hall of Famers and they're carrying and they're traveling and the refs don't call it. I mean, how do you win against that? I'm just not talking about today. I've been watching some of the other games too. And the United States is traveling and carrying. And if this is the standard, the United States is supposed to be the standard. So if carrying and traveling is allowed in the NBA and then into the Olympics game, it's just, is it all fake? There's no standard. The only thing I have about this 2024 Olympic team is they should be stomping people out. It don't matter what group pool you was in, you should have been stomping people out by 40 and 50. 99% of the players you're playing against are role players who never even made an all-star team. That's who you're playing against. And I would say half of the competition, I'm not sure, let me just say half. Half of the competition in these Olympics is guys who no longer even played in the NBA, like I said. Right? So you're sitting down on your man, this is just, you just can't make this stuff up. You're sitting on your couch, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey, eating McDonald's, and you just get up and go play in the Olympics. And these are the guys that are being counted in the Olympics that are a threat to the United States. You can't you can't make this up. Along with guys in the G League had 10-day contracts, dudes that never made an all-star game, guys that's riding on the bench, guys who are role players you never heard of. This is who they count as threats to the United States. You know, because this is 2024, you're supposed to be what? 2000, 2010, 2020. So you're supposed to be 3 times better than what the 90s players were. 3 times better than what they were. And we always hear this, right? So you're supposed to be stomping out role players, G League players in the NBA, guys who are on 10-day contracts, guys who have never made an all-star team, guys who aren't Hall of Famers, guys who just came off the damn couch as former NBA players and playing for their international teams. You're supposed to be stomping these people out because you're supposed to be 3 times better than the 90s. So imagine these guys using these international players that I just told you about as an excuse on why these guys don't have to go out here and stomp their competition out. An excuse. They don't have to play lockdown defense. They don't have to humiliate these guys. Because, I mean, if you was really humiliating these guys, well, I wouldn't even say that. You got to be humble. You can't do that. You're showing you're millionaires and you're the best in the world. And we're the United States, the best in the world. You got to be humble. You got to walk away from the stage every time you beat them and beat them down. Like, okay, we knew we were the best. If you go back and watch some games from the 90s, not just Michael Jordan, but I'll just use Michael Jordan. This guy used to make these incredible shots and never celebrate. Never celebrate. And you see people like LeBron James who's doing layups and celebrating and flexing, not only in the Olympics, but in the NBA. Michael Jordan make incredible shots in a compact lane. Dude just draped all over him. I like when you watch these games in the past, you almost knew if you didn't give the effort, you was gonna get screamed at by your damn coach. You already knew it. You know that's why a hand was in this dude's face every time he shot. It was hell for him to get the damn ball off. You already knew. You was gonna be on the bench. But yeah, this is just embarrassing, man. I guess it just came from the NBA. We're front running. We're flexing. We're not humble. Nothing. We're playing the easy schedule. With United States basketball is just trash. We don't let all these players in that don't even deserve to be in the NBA just to make it look like, oh yeah, it got more international players. No, when you got international players, you think of Dirk, you think of Ginobili. You think of these guys like this, Steve Nash. You think of upper echelon players, not the trash that plays in this era. Tell me what you think.